Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us, Mitch Russo. Mindful Guidance, russoplus.com is his website. On the show with me today, Mitch, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So you've had great success working with strategic partners. Let's talk about some of the great business relationships you've had over the years. Let's start with Kevin Harrington. How about that?
Sure. Yeah. So Kevin Harrington, as you know, really did a lot of work with Shark Tank. He was on, I think, for 5 seasons and became, quote unquote, famous that way. But he was famous before that. He invented the infomercial and created a brand called As Seen on TV. And so when I was approached by the folks at Digital Marketer to work with them to grow their company, we had come up with the idea of creating a new brand and having a spokesperson. So my first thought is, why don't we call Kevin? So Kevin and I got involved, and working with the folks at Digital Marketer, we plotted out our course to create this new brand and then record a series of content, courses in fact, to launch that into the community. And so over the course of about 6 months, Kevin, myself, and my team, we worked in his studios to do the recording. We recorded content, video content. We also recorded radio commercials. Again, that's one of the things that I do is I help people get on the radio successfully. And then we launched all of that in our network. And it turned out that it was a great success. We generated thousands of leads in a very short period of time and began the process of closing those leads and getting sales. So Kevin and I came together to do this. And, you know, we did it for 2 reasons. One is because we both love the idea of creating new products. And he lit up when I told him that I had thought of him for this role. And second of all, because he knows that in his stage of life, his name is valuable, and so he can leverage that, as well as his expertise and experience. So Kevin was a very, very willing partner. We came together, did a great job, and we were able to deliver a fantastic product to our client. So since then, Kevin and I have stayed in touch. We've worked together on a few other projects as well, but that's where we met, and that's how we became associated.
Got it. Chet Holmes, let's move down the line on this.
Chet Holmes goes back a number of years. Chet called on me as a salesman when I was building my software company, Timeslips Corporation. And he was incredibly persistent, almost to the point of being ridiculous. And at a time later, after we started to do business together, we became friends. And it wasn't until that friendship evolved that he asked me to join his company and help build and run his organization, which I did. That's when we also became associated with Tony Robbins and began working with Tony to create a new company called Business Breakthroughs International. And so that's the trajectory. And then Chet, Tony, and I went forward, built that company, and it was doing really, really well for almost 5 years when unfortunately Chet had passed away, which you know that story, I'm sure.
What is the one thing that you would want to impart to the audience that you learned from, say, Kevin Harrington or Chet Holmes before we move forward?
Well, you know, I think it's different lessons from different people. Right. In Chet's case, the most powerful lesson that I learned from Chet was that persistence is rewarded. And if you can be persistent consistently, then that persistence will be rewarded. Now, Chet was also very, very smart about knowing when to pivot. So it's not just being persistent and banging your head against the same wall. It's knowing when you need to change directions. And so those are some of the things that he did very, very successfully. In Kevin Harrington's case, he understood the value of media. And Kevin was able to leverage media in a way that no one else did, which is why he became who he was. So he found a way to go on television for pennies on the dollar compared to other people and utilize remnant TV, sometimes late at night, to get his message out there, and was very successful doing it.
Got it. What about Mark Pattison?
Mark Pattison, very interesting person. Mark was a NFL star and did terrific in the NFL. But after, like many players, after he left the NFL, he found himself in a place where he really didn't know what to do next. Sort of like childhood actor syndrome. Had a very strong success, and people knew him. He was very famous. But then at that point, he felt lost, and he started working with different companies and was introduced to me. So we began working together, and I took his core passion and helped him turn that into a very profitable business. And ever since then, he has been leveraging his core passion to build his company and really move into the mainstream with his message.
Now, you have formed some very valuable strategic partnerships, and they've been able to help some of your clients. I do the same thing myself, but I'd like to glean from you the wisdom and the knowledge that you've been able to sort out to be able to help me with some of the lessons you've learned. Bring those out for me.
Well, yeah, it's hard to know where to start. There's so many.
Yeah, of course.
I would say that probably some of the most basic things that I would do is make sure that when you start out, when you're building your business, that you know, and it sounds very basic, but it's really true, know that the product that you're about to release or the product that you're bringing to market is wanted and needed. There are so many people who have built products that were not wanted and needed, and I'm guilty of that. I've done that myself. I had a great idea, an inspired idea. I bring it to market and find that, in fact, nobody really is responding well to it. And it's because I went on raw enthusiasm instead of doing some basic market testing and making sure that what it is I was about to release was really wanted. So that's one core lesson. Make sure there's a market for what you're doing. Second core lesson is understand where you fit into the existing marketplace. So I run into entrepreneurs sometimes, and I said, well, tell me about your product. And they say, well, it's very unique. We're the only one who does this. I said, well, if you're the only one who does this, that means maybe it's not needed. Maybe it's not important if no one else has ever done it before. Oh, yeah, well, we're inventing a new category. My answer to that is typically, well, how's that going? What's your revenue? And that's where we uncovered the fact that, in fact, there is no revenue. And the reason is because they embarked on a topic or in a direction that no one else has taken because it's just not applicable to what it is that they're trying to do. So all of this goes back to really, really understanding whether your market needs and wants what you're doing and how do you price that. It's one thing to have a great product, but if you price it wrong, then again, you end up with no revenue and no sales.
Yeah, well, your words are well found. You know, they hit home with me. So those are key things to keep in mind with any company. All right, you are helping organizations grow with William D. Temple. What are you doing there?
So William D. Temple was background. William has started 4 independent companies, 2 of them outside the United States, 2 of them which reached $100 million in revenue. And William brings a level of expertise that I don't have. I've never built a company and grown it to $100 million, and he has. So the largest organization I've ever run is about a $35 million company. So what happens when you breach the $50 million mark is really moving into a whole different world that William has this experience in, and that's why we are partnering together. We also have an opportunity that is explosive that we're working on right now. And this opportunity is really surrounding what the core problem of many companies is. And that core problem is aligning the CEO's vision with the direction of every individual who works at that company. So we call this alignment, and it's based on a book called Rapid Alignment. And this information is something that we've been able to use along with the author of the book to build a system of coaching around. So we're now going into organizations and helping them get aligned. We're using a software survey tool that will basically discover very quickly where a company is out of alignment, and then work with the CEO and our coaching staff to get the company back into alignment. So this is a service and a product that we're offering. William has clients that he's been coaching for many years at this point as well, all who are at the stage where they're growing rapidly.
Have you launched this already, or you're going to launch it soon?
It's launching right now. The website is called Craig Alignment, CRAIG, and the word alignment.com. And you will, if you go to that site, you'll see exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. But it's a very exciting opportunity because this is the first time that we've had an opportunity that will allow us to work within the scale of companies that we've been wanting to work within. The same process has been used for many years now, several decades, to help align Fortune 100 companies and divisions of the U.S. government.
Oh, do tell. So there's case studies and testimonials prior to launching this, because obviously William has been doing this for a little while, and now you two have come together. I can't wait to hear some of these success stories that you guys are going to produce.
Yeah, we're excited about it. And it's taken a little bit of time to get all of the materials in place that we need to get to the stage now where we have the software ready to go, and the coaching education built. So we're just about ready to launch that up. The education side will launch probably in the beginning of January. The author of the book, George Labovitz, created the book, is Rapid Alignment. And it's basically through his work that we are building the coaching organization. His brother, Stanley, created the software that we have licensed and are using now to do the testing so that we can get companies into alignment.
Brilliant. Universal product. All right, Mitch, thanks for being a guest on the show. I really look forward to your next interview with us, and please extend my invitation to William DeTemple to come on to the show and talk to us about his end of the business. I love to talk to you every time I learn something. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
You've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.